and welcome to the Caveman podcast collection. Something a little different here for you tonight. It's just me on this episode, an episode that doesn't fit into any category. I just wanted to address the show and what we've done so far and what is coming up. It's been 20 episodes prior to this. This is just something separate that I wanted to put out there, and obviously, if you're watching this, it's posted. My co-host is not here. It's just myself. I'm not recording the audio in the usual place, so there's no Facebook in this, which is another thing. I'll get to see if the audio compression is different from Facebook to what I'm currently using, which is a YouTube app, YouTube Studio. I do know, if anybody's listening and interested, that I believe Facebook compresses to 150 something kilobytes per second, and YouTube Studio is like 320 something, so significantly more, and that might make a difference. We're going to see how the audio comes out, because I've had complaints in the past, which was another thing, and I've tried using a clip mic, I've tried using the phone speaker. I'm currently using a gaming headset that, well, I've addressed it many times. It's not a cheap one, so I don't know. I could only blame Facebook at this point, but we're going to find out. It might just be me. There might be too much bass in my voice. I may have the mic too close to my mouth. Maybe I'm just nasally. I don't know. But it's a test, and I apologize if it's a problem for you. I hope not. But let me cover what we've done so far, both just myself and my co-host, Butters. Myself being Caveman, or Ken, and Butters is Chris. We joke a lot about our government names. Sometimes it's hard to tell when I'm joking because I have a dry sense of humor and I don't change my tone very often. So that leaves people guessing. It's great in real life. You know, I like to make the crowd uncomfortable, but it probably doesn't translate well on an audio track. Okay, back to the show. And if you've seen anything on it, you know that I ramble, so there's that. We originally started off with just paranormal episodes, and I think we have, I don't know, 12 of those, possibly. Some of the initial ones, I didn't even test out the microphone before starting. They're terrible. You probably can't hear them unless you have your device all the way up. I've remastered the first episode since then. It's going to be labeled UFO UAP, and that's a good one. That's a personal story. I sped right through the meat and potatoes of that story and just redid the whole thing, listed it as remastered, posted it, and I don't know who's going to see it. And that's another thing before I talk a little further about episodes and where we're going, where I'm going, is that on this, now Butters is my co-host. He comes on sometimes. There's the Bizarre Buffet podcast that excuse me, that I set up, that he kind of runs it. He did a show tonight for it. Everything on the technical end, though, now, I don't know if this isn't a flex. This is just to say that if there is something wrong, it's probably me, because I'm the one out of the two of us that has the time and ability to do the technical end of things. Some people, that might be nothing. You know, and I don't quite understand that, because if I record something that takes an hour, then you have to listen to it for an hour to know where to go in and cut out this or maybe add a sound to that or correct something. It's just a good practice. So that 1 hour of recording then becomes 2 hours, plus the edits, maybe say 15 minutes on top of that. And then you got your load, you have your load times, and that's from studio to YouTube, where you then have to fill everything out. And from there, it has to load again to the playlist. So maybe you're looking at another 45 minutes to an hour. So you're looking at 3 hours, maybe, say 3 hours. And that's just to get out a 1 hour audio track. And I see now why people only post once a week. These people that post videos with, well, videos. This is largely just audio. So somebody posting an edited video along with everything else that has to be done, I can see where it would take a lot of time to accomplish that. Which brings me to something else. I'll jump right to it. In the future of the show, I'm going to start, and this is shortly. I just started this. The weather's warming up. And I wanted to start getting not just a still photo here and there, but I want to start doing actual video to add to these. Maybe some that correspond with the video. Like I will do a video of a graveyard while I drive through it or walk through it on the Paranormal Podcast and talk about the location as well as everything else. And you know, that's always been part of the plan. As a profession, and it's not my main profession, but it takes up a good amount of time, especially in the warmer months of the year. I'm a freelance media photographer, largely with outdoor festivals and a handful of other events that are smaller news events or whatnot, but none of that's really important. That's just to say that obviously I have the cameras, I know how to use them. I've always wanted to just do an audio podcast, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to gather enough of a following. I won't gain traction without appeasing the algorithm or the people listening. And I understand. I like these sort of things because I'm always doing something else and then I have something to listen to. That's not to say that listening to myself or my co-host or us together is interesting. That's a matter of opinion, and I don't blame you if you're not interested, so don't feel bad. But that was one thing. Look forward to some video coming soon. I think it's going to make it a lot better. It's going to be a little more time-consuming and complicated on my end, but yeah, you have to do what you have to do. And that's not just on the paranormal. And as I said, there's also the buffet episode that Butters does. But I do, this isn't to exclude my co-host, but I do everything on this end of it. And I set this up as the podcast collection. Now that's because the channel's not pigeonholed to one genre, which may or may not deter people. I don't know how people viewing it are going to receive it. When, granted, if you go to the playlists, everything for each podcast is labeled as that podcast and then filed under that playlist. So it does not get any more simple than that. Does everybody know that? I don't know. I know that I'm not completely YouTube literate, and I know this. So if somebody does not know it, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, I guess. Maybe not. Now, the third of the 3 podcasts that we have so far the Bizarre Buffet, the Paranormal podcast, and then there's one that I made called Soiree, a elegant dinner party or discussion, and I gave it that funny name because it's an open forum podcast, largely, even though we throw a title on there and sometimes try to stick around theme. It's open forum. And I thought it would be ironic because if you're looking for classy, this probably isn't the place. Now, which leads me to the next thing. I've tried to go into this every time saying, at least to myself, that I want to step it up. I want to polish it a bit. I want to move this in the direction of almost sounding like a radio show. And I don't know. That's partially me, but I'm also a little unshackled for that. And we are just kind of winging it a lot of the time. I set down points to try to stay on the rails. There's some structure to what we do, but in large, it's just what you get is what you get. I don't go in and do any heavy editing on the audio. If there's ever something where you're like, hey, did they cut something out? Yeah, it was probably a word that we couldn't keep in there, and putting a sound effect just didn't cover it up enough. Sometimes the potty mouth gets the best of both of us. Also, to this point, we've had one guest come on the paranormal podcast, and that's something that I hope is reoccurring, and it's also going to lead to video down the road. We're going to do a lot of in-person, on-site, hands-on, first-person point of view kind of paranormal tours or quote-unquote investigations. And here's one thing, I think, that being like the bread and butter of the podcast collection so far, it may turn some people off, turn them away, that I tend to be skeptical. Like, I am here as a skeptic, largely. But I want to believe, and I find the topic very interesting. I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, this is what I want to believe, so I'm going to believe it no matter what. I have this unique ability to look at something and see exactly what is or is not there. My mind is not going to alter reality to suit my narrative. So that doesn't work for a lot of people. They go in there and they want to think that a demon touched them and their digital recorder was speaking in Latin. Yeah, then that's what they're going to tell you. And some of you may believe it, but I'm not going to say that unless it's true. And I'm betting that doesn't happen. If it does, we're both going to be surprised. I guess from there, I would say that I'd like just some feedback on things, but at this point, without the traction, without hitting the algorithm and getting going, there's not going to be a lot of that, and that's largely my fault so far. I have not really done anything to get started with video. I have a couple where it's me looking over me on my desk in the studio with the monitor and the secondary monitor and whatnot, but that's all that I have done so far. There's going to be more. They're going to come relatively soon, and that's going to lead to a final point. Is with this, it's probably going to further the collection of podcasts. There's, what are they going to be? I don't know. I'm not sure what to tell you other than the ones that we do have. Adding video, a video component to the paranormal one is going to work out quite well. The soiree, I don't know. I could do like me in studio. I don't usually just shine it right at me because you don't want to look at my head talking for an hour. I don't find that interesting. So I don't know if anybody else does, but I don't know. I don't really watch these things or listen to them for the personal aspect. I have the camera facing over at the desk, and you can see everything going on. The secondary monitor is a flat screen that it's hooked to, so you got a 50-inch view of whatever it is I'm doing as it's tethered to the laptop. And that's one option. And leading to other videos, like I was saying, maybe when I'm out and about, I do some logistics, some delivering, and I could do some videos on that. And oh God, the laryngitis from being 21 videos in now is still there. And lastly, like I mentioned previously, I'm a freelance photographer, largely doing outdoor festivals and whatnot in my area, and some a little further out. And those I could always record as I go about doing my still photography, and that would be interesting, I think, as a podcast on the collection on this channel. How it's gonna go about, I don't know. I'd probably keep live audio and also do voiceover, but that's something yet to come. So we're going to be adding new things. I'm going to continue to try to polish what we have. I don't want to take away from the authenticity of what it is. We didn't set out trying to be something we're not. And that's it. You get us, the mentally untethered co-hosts that dive into these things. And, we're different too. The shows that I do, the shows that Butters does, not everything's going to be great, not everything's going to be terrible, but we hope there's something that you enjoyed, if not just the crazy back and forth. But I'm going to leave it at that, and keep an eye on the channel. And like I say, and I put in every video, and I've tried reaching out, just subscribe. Even if you don't turn the notifications on, at least you can click on it once in a while, and who knows, maybe at some point when you do, you'll log in and you'll be like, wow, they finally got their shit together. The guys got video, they're on location, this is kind of interesting, and some of it will be. I don't mind doing spooky nighttime videos, and I'm not going to get all theatrical like Zach Baggy or the other boys on the History Channel. I probably won't go running out of anywhere screaming about demons. But you'll get a real, authentic video and a first-person point of view, along with what's to come. Festivals, and anything, studio recordings. And that's it, really. It's what I have. And I'd say sorry for rambling, but that was kind of the point of this 20-minute quote-unquote podcast, just to touch on what we've done, what we are, what we're hoping to do. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks, guys. Caveman signing out. Cheerio.